Hello and welcome to a very special convention-related episode of the NARSA podcast. And as promised on the NARSA Weekly Update podcast over the last couple of weeks, we did want to do something poignant in terms of the wrap-up of the 2025 convention by having a podcast absolutely dedicated to, what would I say, the experience and or the journey that got us to the point of having hosting uh, and mosting with the convention. I'm trying to think of something. There's so many words in my head right now, but it's poignant to talk about it, I think. And I did get the opportunity during the planning phase to say this convention is going ahead. As far as we know, there was a lot of challenges that we had with the property. There was a lot of challenges that we had just in terms of logistics, and of course with numbers not being what we thought they were going to be, you just don't quite know what the experience is going to be. And then what you're really doing here in the background, not to spoil the surprise, but you're smashing a whole bunch of people who may or may not know each other, may or may not have complementary work styles with each other, and may or may not even like each other. And you're saying, you guys are now a team, make this work and go ahead. And as I mentioned on the NARSA Weekly Update podcast, we absolutely lucked out when we first approached Colin to consider taking it on, and it was dynamite from then to the very end. It doesn't mean it was easy, and it doesn't mean that there weren't days. What would I say? There weren't days that were kind of challenging. So I wanted to get Colin's perspective on this as well. So firstly, this is about, what would you say, 2 or 3 weeks in the making, and unfortunately you were a wee bit sick. So Colin, my friend, welcome to the show. How are you feeling?
Uh, I think I'm better. I mean, people that come to my regular Friday karaoke would beg to differ. I think they say it's improved because I had a sore throat, so I couldn't sing as much.
Yeah.
Um, but I keep relapsing a little bit because after I'd finished with it, then Sherry got it,
Yeah,
and
oh,
then
I
she gave it
know.
back to me, and then it just bounced around, and then my assistant at work got it. It's just like we
Yeah.
just did everything, but I feel like I'm back to normal. I better be back to normal because I have to drive to North Carolina this week for the Highland Games. So it's like, yeah, that's a 14-hour drive. So I better be
Wow.
feeling better by then.
Oh dearie me. You know, one of the things many, many years ago, when I first started to really get involved in the inner workings of NARSA, I was VP in 2012, and so my first convention on the executive was in San Francisco 2013. And what I started to notice at that point, I never really paid attention. We hosted the convention in Calgary in 2008, and the experience was the experience. I felt, fairly similar to the way that you felt at times in terms of overwhelm, in terms of busyness, in terms of not enough hours in the day and such, but never really thought about the aftermath of the convention, And then the more I started to see it, like the NARSA show would essentially roll into town. We would do what we do for 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and then we would leave. And then my immediate focus would be, right, what's happening for next year? Obviously wrapping up some of the admin and stuff like that from the previous convention. So then I would start to look at next year, and it kind of never stopped. So you never really get a chance to check in with a club afterwards and say, "Hey, listen, how are you doing? That was a monumental effort. How are things?" Because it felt very hangovery for me, and that's why I put together that motion to get the profit sharing circumstance organised. That if we have a successful convention, it was incentive for the local club to do what they could to promote and put on a great event, but also a thank you to say, your win is our win, and we will have that kind of codependent motivation to move forward. So I'm really delighted to have that conversation, or to have this conversation, I should say. So let's go back to the beginning, because just before we started recording, you had an epiphany of when this all started. So tell me about that.
Well, it really, for me, it started in Toronto.
Yeah,
Um, well, yeah, let's just stick that it started to Toronto. And for people that don't know my background, I worked for World Championship Wrestling for 10 years as their photographer, their publisher. That's what actually brought me over to this country.
right.
And since then, I've hosted. or should I say, organized many, many conventions for thousands of people with 80 plus wrestlers, VIPs, and none of them posed as big a challenge as this one because when I took over Orlando RSC, because this was all after COVID, we'd been pretty much done with NARSA as an organization after the 2011 convention.
Mm.
We just didn't feel any kind of connect at all. And all the years before, when Joe Perryman and Teresa and everyone had tried, Colin, come on, you've got to get on the board here. You can do this, you can do that. And I was really, really high on doing that at the time.
Mm.
But you just get worn down and worn down and worn down. And then our leadership at the time wasn't that impressed either. So we were insure, we made sure we showed every game, but there wasn't really a big interest in getting back into NARSA.
Yeah.
Roll on to Vegas, and that was after COVID, and I had a sit down with you.
Yeah.
And I was straight with you. I was like, I'm going to restart the club up because we'd been on that hiatus. What's it going to take and everything? And I was like, wait, this is so different. This doesn't seem as much a pain in the ass as it did back in the day.
Yeah.
What's going on? And I was like, okay, well, yeah, we can work this out. And you were great. Brian was great. Really good experience in Vegas, apart from the actual event itself, which I felt was just too big and overwhelming. But,
Giant.
you do what you can do. So I go back, set up the club again, deal with the problems of being in an Irish bar. Not my problems, but apparently Irish people didn't like me being there, and fiercely cultural Ranger supporters didn't like me being there. So even with the Queen on the wall and the King and everything else, it's just it was a challenge.
Yeah.
But I thought, we're coming up to 30 years. I'll think about this. Went to Toronto, and I actually mentioned to you, 2026 is our 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Can we put in for the convention? And you were like, well, that's a little bit far away, but we'll have it noted. We're not taking the bids on that one yet. Move on. That's it. It's good. Then I think in August, must have been August, because you were already running into problems with the New York one. So, like, your convention updates, as I remember it, on one hand, they're like, well, we've got something exciting going on, but by the way, this is not looking good for New York,
Yeah.
And at that point, you said to me, Colin, keep this quiet. Experience Kissimmee and Rangers really want to do a convention in Kissimmee in 2025. Would you be interested in hosting it? And I was like, no, not really. What would it involve? Like, who's going to do all the work? Well, I can tell you now, we might get Brian Laudrup. Oh yeah, we'll do it. Not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
And that was the start of it.
Yeah.
So then I have to go back and convince I'll make it sound like we're a huge club. There's 3 of us that sit at the bar and just bitch and moan the whole time. One of them's my wife. So I had to tell them, hey, we're going to be doing a convention a year ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And everyone just looked at me like, well, when would that be? And it's like 2025. And they're like, well, that's over a year. But they don't understand
Yeah.
what that year looks, over that year looks like. And I don't want to discourage anybody from doing a convention. My whole purpose of this thing, when I said to Gary, I want to do a wrap up on it, is I want to show that no matter what they throw at you, there's a solution and a determination. And at the end of the day, it's quite rewarding. I mean, I didn't find it rewarding at the end of this one because I instantly got sick.
Mm.
But I'm sure I would have looked back on this and thought, wow, this was a lot of fun. But at the time, you don't. But if you have more than 1 or 2 people that you can count on,
Yeah.
it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, someone has to have the reins and know every single thing that's going on, because there's too many moving pieces that rely on each other.
Yeah.
And you can't have one moving piece going off in a in a strange direction. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, what do you
Yeah.
remember about that Gary conning me, Brian
It's
Lathrop?
you know what, I was told at the time Brian Laudrup was a possibility, and he had actually started the conversations with Five Stars unprompted from us. So when I spoke to Graham from Five Stars, he says, "Look, this is looking really good," and I was thinking, "Well, this is incredible. Okay, well, let's figure this out," and mention that to you, and then it just didn't materialize the way that we were hoping. And one thing I notice is not so much with the club anymore, but like in dealing with, say, for example, a Five Stars or any other organisation, where I'm like, we need to lock this in just now, and they're like, relax, we've got plenty of time. And I'm saying we don't have as much time as you think. We need to book flights. We want to try and get as much advertising collateral out of this, and really start to let people know that we're serious. So confirming things a long time in advance becomes somewhat of a challenge when people are not really understanding that it's not a pub, an hour and a half up the road where you could organise it, within 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, so I had said to them, we went over in September 2023 to look at some properties, a bunch of different properties, and the Omni being one of them, which ended up being the final host destination. And then it was such a flying visit, like back home. I was really delayed actually. I got in the middle of the night, and then 2 days later, I left in the middle of the night again. And at that point, it was saying, right, okay, this is they're genuinely serious. It looks like there's going to be a lot of support here. Rangers are going to be involved in it. We need to know that we've got the support, truly of the host club, and this is what it looks like. And at that point, the conversation could have been different if you hadn't have been so flexible. And so I'm able to say, tell me what it is and we'll figure it out. And I think that goes to the point that you just made about there's always going to be a solution. So we think it's going to be here. We think this is the best property. This is what the cost structure looks like. And then you are instantly kind of going into solutioning mode in terms of distance from the airport, distance from the host club, your actual club, Murphy's, and the various destinations and stuff like that there. That conversation could have been different if you'd have went, well, wait a minute, listen, like if we're hosting it, we want a bigger say, a bigger input on what it looks like and such like that. But I never got that vibe ever from you. It was always let's do it, let's figure it out, let's see how it goes. Not to say there wasn't any frustration or challenges, and some of the conversations we had were quite colourful, let's just say. But there was always, for me anyway, my experience was there was always that can do attitude from you, which made my job 10 times easier, 100 times easier actually.
Obviously, I've learned diplomacy over the years because you came down. That was a September, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And I was very high on if this is going to be in Kissimmee, the only place I want it to be is the Gaylord Palms,
yeah,
right? I didn't want the Omni. Nothing against the Omni. Um, I will go back to the Omni as a staycation to escape from the world,
yeah,
but I don't feel, and I still don't feel to this day, that that was the right venue to be involved in the rest of the city or the town or
yeah,
or things like that. And I know there was timing issues, and I know that there was pricing issues and things like that, but it was just too much. And at the time when you guys were coming over, and I mean this came back to bite everyone on the ass on the Monday when they were leaving, that was basically down to 2 lanes,
yeah.
and every day, even from my house, which was less than 12 miles away from the Omni,
Mhm.
that was a 45-minute drive just getting stuck there.
Yeah,
And then the week before, or the weekend before the convention, they opened it to the 4 lanes on both sides, which made it worse because now every lunatic would just use it as a speedway.
yeah,
Absolutely crazy. And even with the 4 lanes, people would still get stuck. And like even my son Fox, when he was coming to the football that morning, I said,
yeah,
stop at the gas station to get the water,
yeah,
but give yourself 45 minutes. He's like, 45? It says it's like 8 minutes on. Yeah, I'm like, no, give
yeah,
yourself time. And that was always going to be my big concern was it's one thing getting people there.
yeah,
It's another thing getting people out of there or getting, making any timings make sense. And I think even when you came to the leaving do, you were stuck in, you'd sent me a message saying,
It's
by the
like,
time I
oh,
get there, I'm going to be going home. It's like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so there was a lot of concerns I had about it. And to the point that even our old guys that used to run the club, they lived down there.
Mhm.
They weren't coming
Right.
because they didn't want to have to face that traffic.
Yeah.
And so that was always my big concern. And then I said, you better go back to them and find out about these resort fees. And
Yeah.
because we're unique in Orlando and Kissimmee, whereby we hammer tourists.
Yeah.
Literally, you're throwing 12% on here, 20% on here. For what? Well, I'm not going to use this. Well,
Yeah.
it's there,
Yeah.
and that's the whole attitude they have. So I was disappointed that that's where we ended up. But you know what? Suck it up, Buttercup. You haven't got a choice. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
And hopefully, Rangers and Experience Kissimmee and NARSA and everyone are all going to chip in and take care of that bit, you know. And then nothing really happens much after that. I think I just remember you making a shit ton of posts and podcasts and things where I'll have information next week. I'll have information next week. I'll have information next week. And at that point, I'm having red flags all over the place because we're still only in January, February, March 2024.
Yeah.
And I still have very little information to go on. Rangers are shite. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just like, what are we going to do here? This is, you know. But in the meantime, I'd reached out to people like David Mason to get some copy done, Willie Vass to get photographs, Senga Murray to get permission to use
Yeah.
that centerfold. And, I'm like, hey guys, I'll give you an ad in the magazine and if you let me use this. And yeah, Willie like sent stuff through immediately. Senga, God bless her, she says, you know what, this is before digital. And she gives me the best version of the photo she's got taken through the frame. So I had to work hard with that.
Yeah.
And David Mason, he agreed, and I didn't want him to have to write anything yet because I didn't know who we were having as guests.
Yeah.
And then we get announced Bomber and Mark Haitley, which I love both of them, and they were two of the best guests I've ever seen at any of our conventions. There was
Agreed.
just there was no request. Well, there was one, but I'm not going to go into that. But there was no request really that they refused, and they were
Yeah.
magnificent.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you're messaging me and going, "What's your list for who you want as celebrities?"
Yeah.
And at that time, so I'm sending you my list, and I'm saying, "Oh, by the way, um, Alan Hutton and Griggs have both expressed an interest in coming
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
because they're friends with another supporter group in here." And
Yeah.
I'm like, Gary, look, we can get these guys. And you're like, well, we have to go through certain ways because I think at the time you still thought you were going to have some
Yeah.
kind of arrangement with Five Star, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We did.
so it was just a lot. And so we've already moved on like almost 7 months
Yeah.
and achieved nothing, like
Yeah.
literally absolutely nothing. And I think there was I don't know what you call those meetings that we have in between the AGM
The general meeting.
general meeting, and there was
Yeah.
like 3 people on it in January.
Yeah.
It
I
was
think it was
like
me, you, and Erin, something like that. Yeah.
just sitting outside in the car at Murphy's. There's like
Yeah.
no one on it. So that moves on. I think finally in June, I said to you, what are the responsibilities of the host club going to be? Because I'd let you all get New York out your system, and
Yeah.
I wasn't going to keep pushing and stuff like that because it was, I felt bad for everyone involved at New York, and I felt bad for not being able to go, and I just like, you better sort out these beer prices, Gary, because it's we get beer for like $3.50, and in the bars here, but it really was. It was a difficult time, and I finally said, this seems like it's going to be a lot of work. What are my responsibilities,
Yeah.
or what would you like us to do? So you Billy, Brian, Lorraine, you send me this Excel spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, this is a lot. It was a lot, but let me tell you, it was not a lot compared to 2009, 2010 when I put in our bid back then.
Oh, really?
And I felt really good that I wasn't going to have to go to hotels and ask for 5 free hotel rooms
Yeah.
and 2 junkets down there for people to stay
Yeah.
for free prior to that, and stuff like that. It was like, so I'm like, what am I looking at here? So not dealing with the hotel was good. But if you remember, before the Omni and stuff like that, I'm going to roll back even a year. When I asked you in Toronto, I had already been pricing out for Westgate or the Rose, to do it in Orlando at the time. So
Yeah.
when it came to the looking at the responsibilities, I'm like, okay, well, a lot of this stuff I have already done two
Yeah.
years prior.
Yeah.
Um, if the people don't hate me, I'll go back to them and see what we do. And of course, the one thing that I said, well, I'll put you in touch with the band.
Yeah.
And then, like an idiot, I said, I'll take care of the DJ. And and then I said, oh, I'm definitely going to do the magazine.
Yeah.
And the reason I said, oh, I'm definitely going to do the magazine is because I picked up 6 or 7 previous magazines and I looked at them and I'm like, wow, holy shit. There's like 32 pages of ads from the clubs.
Yeah.
Then there's a bunch of ads from everyone else. If I go to 50 something pages,
Yeah.
that's no work at all. That's real simple,
Yeah.
and for everyone. So I'm going to say this right now in the middle before people turn off because they're going to get bored. The biggest disappointment for me, and I said it, and it's probably minuted at the AGM as well, is the lack of support I personally and my club got from every other club bar 2, 3 if I
Mm.
count myself.
Yeah.
Because we have, regardless of whether we were poor, small, big, whatever it was, whenever we were asked for an ad for the program, magazine, we
Yeah.
took one out, and literally I started asking people for ads round about June 2024.
Yeah.
And I would send out emails and I got a couple of responses, but then nobody would get back to me. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because everyone believed the convention wouldn't happen or everyone's poor. I can't fathom that at all because some of those clubs have 100, it's like there's a
Yeah.
lot of people go to them. And what we're asking, $100, $150 a club would have made such a big difference to us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have made any kind of loss and stuff like that. And it would have made the magazine experience a lot more pleasant.
Yeah.
So, but I still went out of my way and created that spread, including
Yeah.
logos and everything else to support all 31 clubs that are
Yeah.
listed on the NARSA website. How many of them do you think came back and said, thanks for that, Colin? That was great.
I'm
Yeah.
sure the letter is in the post.
Yeah, I'm sure. With the check.
Yeah.
But, that was the biggest disappointment. But it was the one thing I really wanted to do. Then I said, should we have enough people to organise golf for you? That'll have to be you.
Yeah.
Football, we don't have any experience of that at all. So that'll be all over to you. And, we made our little compromise and we went on with it. And
Yeah.
that was where it worked. But
Yeah.
the big problem comes that I can't go to all our local companies like Gatorland and everyone else for advertising when I still don't know this is happening. And you remember I created all those letters.
Yeah.
I started the video edit for this huge campaign that we were going to do,
Yeah.
which was experience this, experience that, experience. It's like 10 different experiences. I had all the
Yeah.
videos cutting together for it, montages.
Yeah.
But it just, you don't want to put in like 60 or 70 hours of work into something that might never happen,
Yeah.
So you just keep putting things to the side and then, yeah, and we're still in 2024 and still don't know what the hell's going on. and it's literally, I'd love to know what you were going on through all this because,
So at the time, ticket sales were slow in the beginning. And typically, our model is that by September, October, November time, we've got 80% of the people that are coming along. And at that point, it wasn't even in triple figures. At that point, we were still in double figures in terms of tickets that were sold. So we're then saying, well, wait a second, we've signed a contract with a hotel that we're estimating, 750 plus, and we've got 56 sold. And then so we were talking to Experience Kissimmee, we were talking to Rangers, we're talking to the Omni to say, listen, this is a very, very different experience than what we've actually, encountered in the past. What happened? What do we do? We signed an addendum in November 24 to reduce the hotel our liability to the hotel, but it didn't really reduce the liability to the hotel. It was almost the liability was still the same, but it was basically permission for them to resell the rooms if they could get an opportunity to do so, and they wouldn't be in breach of contract. And so then at this point, they were saying, relax, people's holidaying patterns are different now. They don't book a year plus ahead anymore. They typically do it in the last 3 to 6 months. And we'd been saying, as plain English as we could, our clientele for decades prior have already booked and committed if they're booking and committing by this time. So we don't think the numbers are going to be anywhere near. Back to your point about the team at this point is in meltdown mode again. So there's no light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the ability to have a trophy there, or any sort of genuine community or camaraderie, because things are difficult in terms of where we're at. So we're basically trying to reduce the contractual liability with the hotel. There was some miscommunications between ourselves and the hotel that we didn't get ironed out until very, very late in the process. So what I'm saying about VIPs, what I'm saying about entertainment, we couldn't announce Keir Mitchell or Callum Beattie, who had confirmed months and months and months prior, just in case, that it wasn't going ahead. And then people would be saying, like, what sort of organization are you? You're saying all this stuff, knowing that it's not actually happening. So I try to have a fine blend or a fine balance of information flow to say, we need to figure this stuff out, figure it out in the background, and then see what happens. So fast forward to 5 weeks to go, and then we get that meeting with the hotel that says, right, we are genuinely going ahead, and we're going to get the full support of the hotel when we're there, and the staff were great and such when we were there. And it's then, right, all systems go. Let's get it done. And you're sitting here, for the people, you won't be able to see this, but Colin's now sitting shaking his head.
well,
you know,
it's not, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there was so much went on before that. Like, we'd created the huge big banner for our bar, which had the QR codes and everything
yeah,
in it,
yeah,
even had the 5-star logo in it.
yeah,
Then we get to January 2025, so we put an ad in our local Highland Games catalogue, which I made as
yeah,
Scottish Rangers as it could possibly be. But that was really a big up you to the other team
yeah,
that comes from Glasgow that thinks they own this town, but they don't. And so that was fun to see their reaction when they were picking up those programs in their stupid, smelly green and white shirts. And so that was great. But then I just decided this thing wasn't going to happen. All my sponsors, potential sponsors, advertisers, and everyone had said, sorry, we needed to confirm this by February.
yeah,
We can't now confirm this. So I had no advertisers or sponsors. So I was creating in my head, well, what am I going to put in to fill these pages? Because now I'm committed in my mind that I'm going to have all this. And then I lost my DJ because I couldn't confirm him. And then I lost my, oh, no, I'm jumping ahead because we haven't even got to that yet. So before we even get the go ahead, you come on to me and say, Colin, do you want to design a medal, or do you want Experience Kissimmee to do it? And I
yeah,
said, they should do it because they know more about Kissimmee than I do. I don't know
yeah,
anything about Kissimmee whatsoever. And then you came back and he goes, no, I think I want you to do it. And so I'm looking through and I'm like, Kissimmee is like the second biggest cow town in the whole US.
Right.
So none of you probably got to see it, but the whole thing is based like the Wild Wild West. Is crackers and everyone. I mean, it's just non-stop.
Yeah.
So Gary's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. So then we agree on Old Town
Yeah.
because I'd spoken to them a year before about, hey, can we have a big event there and everything? And they're like, yeah, sure, absolutely. That'll be great. We'll help you with everything and stuff. Like, how many people? Yeah, wow, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I never went back to them at that moment in time.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm just sitting there. I say, Gary, thanks, no thanks. I don't see this happening. And if it is going to happen, it can't happen. You've not got enough tickets sold. You've not confirmed anything because you still hadn't said anything about the entertainment.
Yeah.
The last meeting we had, I remember on a rainy day, I was at the Highland Games at Central Florida on my phone. We're having a Zoom call, and everyone's more concerned about the 30 people that are going to miss the flute band. That was the biggest. Well, how many people did the flute band bring? Well, I know there was 30 came. Well, that's not going to save us.
Yeah.
That's not even going to cover the flute band. So it's a moot point. So, and there were so many battles all over just pointless stuff. Like, concentrate on please put your energies into what we do have
Yeah.
instead of putting your energies in what we don't have.
Yeah.
My convention or my event, because I still do an event. I do a big event here every year for the guys, the characters at Halloween Horror Nights. So we
Right.
have 1,200 people over the years. They come to this big party that I organize and stuff. And my whole thing is two things. One, the show must go on.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. And I will always under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to do. You've got to give people something to look forward to. But there's
Yes.
no point in promising them the moon if you
Yeah.
can't even deliver a tiny star.
Yeah.
It's like you've got to temper it. So I think you came to me on the 5th of May and you said, Colin, this is definitely a go. There's no turning back. Whatever's going to be, this is it. And I just honestly, I mean, I don't know if it gets bleeped or not. I just went, fuck. Because that was not what I really wanted to hear at that moment.
Yeah.
I like exhausted myself by that point. I was so over it. And then the first thing I do is, oh, Gary, by the way, look, here's my cover for the magazine, because the one thing I had wanted to do was the 125 years of Eyebrow. I wanted to do a big story. David Mason had given it to me, and I had spent days finding pictures, maps, looking up things, trying to, work out the legal rights of what you can use, can't use, what size everything has to be. Oh, in the meantime, knowing that I'm doing this magazine and it's probably going to end up online only.
Yeah.
That was where we were at that point.
Yes.
So I send you the cover. I say, look, this is my idea for the cover. And for some reason, in your wild and infinite wisdom, you send it to Rangers.
Yeah.
And we get back a friggin' 10-line marketing dissection of what they think is wrong with this cover and why I can't do it and stuff like that. And I've just said to you, I said, well, that's good. They can do the whole magazine. I don't have to worry about it. And you're like, because I think I slipped that in a couple of lines during another conversation.
Yeah.
And I think at some point halfway down, you suddenly realized what I'd said.
It was
And
a
you came
late
back and
what?
said, no, you're not out of doing the program.
Yeah.
And the fact that everybody that saw the cover
Yeah.
and congratulated me just on the cover and even online on X and stuff like that, stuff like that, I know I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 62 years old now. I've been a designer for 40 years at
Yeah.
least. I know what a cover looks like. I'm not going to listen to a marketing intern tell me, well, I think you should do this. And you can't use a picture of Disney. Why? It's my picture. I can use it for what I
Yeah.
want. It's like,
It was so interesting because in the spirit of teamwork, hey, listen, we've actually got some things, some tangible things to share. look at this, and Rangers did come back and say, "Oh, that won't work for a variety of reasons." And then Colin and I had another colourful conversation, and I said, "You know what? We are literally way beyond ground zero time or go time or whatever you want to call it. The magazine is yours. You do what you need to do with the magazine, and we'll figure it out." I can't imagine any large corporation running after us for 200 magazines. You know
Well,
that aren't
the
even for
other
sale.
thing that the other thing that was hilarious was they said, "I don't think you can put our partners' logos on there." And I said, "Well, that's easy. Click, click, click. Go on. There you go."
Yeah,
No, your
exactly.
partners aren't getting any exposure at all, but you're welcome. That was my whole thing on that. So that took care. And the thing was, the only partner logo I actually had put on there was Experience Kissimmee,
Yeah,
who are completely an unbelievable to company to work with. They're
yeah,
incredible. I've known some of them from years before for Orlando City, and they couldn't have been more helpful. And, you know, even like at the end where I said, "Hey guys, I need an ad from you guys for this magazine for the back cover
yeah,
because thank you very much for everything you've done to make this magazine." Because that's what I felt most grateful for, the fact that I did actually end up with my first magazine in print for over 25 years, and
yeah,
they made it happen. So she
exactly.
goes, "Can I use this one that we used for some basketball tour?" And I looked at her and said, "Yeah, absolutely perfect. Apart from, why do you always insist on this stupid green color that you guys have?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
exactly.
you're driving me nuts." And she says to me, and of course, it's the British size.
All right.
And unlike you, who I said, "Hey, Gary, what size is this ad you've sent me? This is nonsense." And
Yeah,
you fix it in 2 minutes and go, "Here you are." I can't
yeah,
really go back to them and go, "Oh, okay." So then I have to create, extend it, make the
yeah,
artwork match and get it on there and stuff. But these were all the things. And people did come forward with a few ads, but I had to actually create the ads for everyone
yeah,
because either it wasn't the right size
yeah,
or it just really looked bad. There's
yeah,
nothing worse. And looking at old programs and stuff like that, you look and everything's blurry, or somebody's just
yeah,
gone and stretched it to make it,
yeah,
work, and you're like, "Well, that's weird."
yeah.
And just things I knew nothing about, like trying to get an ad for Caltech,
Calfern?
whoever Brian's company
Yeah.
is, and I'm like, I don't even understand what it is you do. So then I'm on Google and I'm trying to become an expert in refrigeration and stuff like that, and trying to find pictures of what it is they do and find a better picture than just, because I could have done what they did in the past, and that's just like stick palm trees in the background because it's Orange County. And I'm like, no, let's try and do something different.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, look, 1972. Like, I didn't even go through his website enough to say, oh, wait a minute, there's like five different dates here. I just saw 1972
Yeah.
and 73. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great for me because that's the first time Rangers won the league in my lifetime. And I'm going to put
Right.
it in there, and then it's going to have things like red, hot, red, cool, hot, blue, since whatever that date. And
Yeah.
then he goes, "Now that date's not right." So having made this whole ad, and I was like, "Well, that Rangers team is staying in that ad. I don't care."
And it's the things that you have to do, and it's the five, as you said earlier, you're not trying to put people off, but it's the 500 things that you need to do in the background. 499 and a half of them no one ever sees, and they just they're there on holiday. They're, even if you've been organizing an event or you have been involved in organizing events in the past, people kind of forget. So that it's just there's an element of complete lack of understanding of what goes into it. So let's fast forward to event time, and you are essentially the AV person, using a lot of your own equipment for the AV. You did eventually source a DJ, who was great. You were doing a lot of the AV. It was your speakers that we had. You were doing the mixing board and the sound on your own of the evenings every evening. Essentially, first there and last to leave. I think you and I were leaving at the same time, just kind of locking the doors behind us and saying, right, okay, That's unusual to put that level of commitment on top of everything else that you're trying to do for there. How
But
was
there's
it?
really no choice. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have a choice. I mean, if you start, I mean, literally, the convention started for us on the Saturday. You sent me a message and said, "Oh, the hotel need to know the size of the banner,"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh fuck." Um, I just remember this crazy box that was sent to me, and I'm
yeah,
opening it and I'm getting it. I'm like, "Is this thing never going to end?" I mean, it's just a magic trick. You're pulling this banner out.
yeah,
So I send it to them and tell them the weight, and then they're like, "Can we have that on the Saturday before?"
yeah.
I still don't know why they needed that on the Saturday before.
Me
Okay,
neither.
I have no idea. So I drive it over there, drop it off at the Saturday, walk around, take a few pictures. That's it. The Monday, I'm putting out a call to any people on my Facebook, anyone at all that even remotely knows me. Please come to the bar at 6 o'clock. I'll buy your drinks. I have to get this bar fully decorated,
Yeah,
you know. And the bar's like, "Why are we doing it so early?" And I'm like, "Because I don't have any time after, as soon
yeah,
as Wednesday comes, it's over."
yeah.
So we're decorating the bar. All these people showed up that nothing to do with Rangers. In fact, most of them were probably Orlando City or Tottenham fans
Oh
that
wow.
came in. And
Yeah,
remember, Spurs got to the Europa League Cup final in the middle of everything and completely messed up another
yeah,
week of my
exactly.
life. So get the pub decorated. I have to keep checking every day though if the rain or the wind has wiped out our whole display.
Yeah,
Get over to the hotel. Oh, and still haven't nailed down completely what we're doing as a leaving do,
yeah,
what people are doing with the excursions,
yeah,
because they had a deadline and nobody believed the deadline. And
yeah,
then the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm still trying to take bookings for something's happening on a Friday. And the sound equipment, I'd said all along, oh, and you got the DJ Piper. You threw the Piper at me. We need a
yeah.
Piper. Like,
Piper as well.
and that was funny as well. Remember, because I had to hunt through everyone and nobody was available. And then this guy
Yeah,
goes, "I've got you," and I give him
yeah.
a list of songs. He goes, "I don't know any of those." And I'm like, "Well, what do you know?" He goes, "How about the Soldiers song and something else?" I go, "Are you fucking nuts?
Oh,
We're just gonna hang you from the because they all share the same tunes." But
yeah,
when you hear them called something that it's not, and you're
yeah,
like, "No, no, no, you're fired, you're gone." He says, "No, no," because I ignored him. No, and then I thought, oh, maybe he's being funny. But no,
yeah.
he just really didn't know. He had no, despite how
Oh,
much I told him that he couldn't wear a green kilt.
yeah,
In fact, I didn't wear my green, in my kilt, I wore my Rangers one and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
So that's all going on. I bring the equipment. I know we have the opening due. I'd visited, I'd snuck into Old Town and said, "What can we do here? There's a
yeah.
lot to do." Unfortunately, the weather wasn't kind to us,
Nah,
and I
it's
have a
gonna
wee
be.
boom box.
Yeah,
The funny story about that is I'm there early putting on the banners, and this guy comes over to me in a baseball cap, tall guy and stuff like that. He goes, "How you doing?" I'm good. Where are you from? Ibrox. Yeah, okay, but which part? I'm not even looking at him. Like he goes, "Nowhere else matters, just Ibrox." And I'm now the voice is like in my head because we've heard a lot of that voice over the previous 2 weeks. With
yeah,
everything that had gone on,
yeah,
and I realize it's Bomber, and I feel like an absolute fucking idiot.
yeah, yeah,
Just a complete. I didn't even realize it was him.
yeah.
Also, I didn't think they would be showing up.
You're right.
You know, and
Yeah,
then Haley and everyone are like, "Where's Gary?" I don't know. He was arriving. Tell him he's a fanny, and then you're sending me back a message. Only fannies use fanny.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
like, no, I'm not getting involved in this childish nonsense. So we had it set up. It was good. I explained to people, buy your one drink in Southern Breeze because they're
yeah,
hosting us, but
yeah,
then one drop them down the street. The pet shop sells beer. I mean, everything sells beer. For like
yeah,
$3 for a Stella.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think everyone had a good time. Um,
It was a great night. Yeah,
we got out of there. Had to load up my stuff, get over to the hotel. No one there to help me unload or anything. So I
Yeah.
unload. We, get everything set up, ready. Um, Found our little room, St Andrew's room, appropriately named.
Indeed.
Thank God they
Yeah.
didn't put us in the Royal Dublin. That would have been. Just still don't understand
Yeah.
what that room is. Um, and so we're there Thursday. You've arranged a meeting with the hotel and us at 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the Thursday we check in. So I have to go there with all my equipment, leave my wife at home to be at this meeting,
Yeah.
and that's really when the reality of the detachment between the hotel and us sunk in,
Yeah.
and it's like, Gary, did you take notes? No, because she did. Well, her notes were garbage, by the way. Like. So I set up all my stuff, test it, get it done, pick up my wife. We have a really good night on the Thursday night.
Yeah.
My 17 hours of curated, because that's the other thing. I sat there on the whole of the Saturday and Sunday curating the music
Yeah.
into Rangers songs, cultural songs, making mixes that the DJ, who knew nothing about anything. I mean, he works
Yeah.
for the Orlando Magic. He doesn't know
Right.
anything about anything. And I didn't want people going up and bothering him
Yeah.
because he's not going to understand anything anyone's asking him, particularly after several beers.
Yeah.
So he had these things, and I just messaged you. I go, play Cultural 2, play
Yeah.
Rangers 3.
Yeah.
Now, our interesting challenge was the presence of Rangers players and executives who didn't want to leave the room ever.
Yeah.
They were just having such a good time, they didn't want to leave
Yeah.
the room. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Because the other thing, remember my QR code?
Yeah.
So the thing I set up for my DJ business, I set it up and I listed all the tunes and I said to people, here, scan your QR code and just pick what you want, send it through, we'll get it played and sorted.
Yeah.
I said, nobody's going to use this. It's far too text. There's like 60 requests in the first 3 hours. And eventually I had to say to you, I said, Gary, you got to get them out of here or we're going to get killed. There's like
Yeah.
an hour left. We've got to get some tunes going and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that worked out really well. I mean, that worked well. So Thursday was a big success. Then Friday, Friday morning was the excursions.
Yeah.
So I got up nice and early. I had no doubt my excursion guys, these 3 vans there, he'd be there on time, everyone would be there. But I get up, I go downstairs, I just want to make sure everyone is there, everyone's getting done, and beautiful. Everyone's on time, they're all getting loaded. Why is my phone ringing? Gary? What? Uh, uh, Elliot. Elliot? Was it Elliot?
Elliot
Elliot wants to
from
go on an excursion. This is at 9:25 when everything's leaving it. I'm like, where is he? You're like, he's on his way down now.
yeah.
And it was like, got him on there just in time. And I was
Skin of
like,
his teeth. Yeah.
thanks a lot. So I'm looking, I'm like, I don't have anything left to do now. I'm going to just go to the pool with my wife
Yeah.
and we're just going to chill out and have a really nice afternoon.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't. I start reading the Gallant Pioneers book, and I think I read the introduction 5 times because of the amount of texts that were coming through on my phone.
Yeah.
And then we have the refugee airlift, where everyone that's out on the excursion has now decided it's too hot to be on an excursion.
It was
Can I
hard.
send the vans in early to pick them up? So I'm having to call the guy, and he's like, oh, I'm on my way back there because somebody left their purse. So I'm
Oh,
going to
wow.
Brian. I'm like, somebody left their purse. He goes, yeah, no, it's my mum. And I go, well, look, I don't know if I can get all 3 buses back there. You're just going to have to draw lots and come back, as you can. And Flavio, he waited. The other 2 buses did what they did, and Flavio waited until the people that weren't too hot stayed and finished their excursion off. But yeah, So that was interesting. And then the AV people at the hotel, it's like 8 million messages. How do we do this? Where do you want this? We're going to move these flags. We're going to move the banner. I said, I really don't mind whatever you want to do and stuff like that. Just make sure I have my mixing board and my AV engineer for Callum. And they're like, the what? I go,
Yeah,
yeah, look, it's clearly on this sheet.
yeah,
No, 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 she didn't say anything about that. And I go, well, I was there. We're all
yeah.
there. And it's been something that I've even sent you messages about in the emails leading up to it. Well, we won't be able to get anyone now, mate. You know, it's like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, where's Callum? And so they go, well, he's at Epcot. And I go, I hope to fuck he's drinking around the world. And he was. So he
It
goes
turns
back.
out it was, yeah.
I go, Callum, hey, I'm going to be your sound engineer tonight. And he's like,
Yeah,
yeah, sure, whatever. Like, he's
yeah.
like, here, I go, do we need to do a sound check? He goes, I'll come up just before I go. Boom, boom. Yeah, can you hear my guitar? Yeah, I can hear your guitar. Fine, it's like,
Yeah.
so we survived that one. And then we had another cultural night after everyone left.
Yeah.
Now, of course, remember the first night Rangers just show up where we had a bar planned, and Rangers show up and stick a goal there.
Well,
And
no, that was Experience Kissimmee had organised the goal for
I
what
thought
that was
Rangers
going
had
to be.
sent it over.
No, no, it was just something different for them to do. I mean, it's all the little things that happen. Um, it's different for every hotel. Some people get it, some people don't. Some people are all over it, some people not so much. And you get what you get. And the main thing for us is always make sure there's enough for people to do, i.e., there's enough booze around that if something's not working, at least they're not going to be sitting thirsty.
Yeah.
And
And that's what we did as well. Like we had a whole bunch of merchandise left, like koozies and stuff. And I was like, well,
yeah,
I don't know how many people are coming. I didn't get anything made specially
yeah,
because how
you were
could
kind
I?
of busy.
I'd be sitting on NARSA 2025 stuff from now till, the next time I can use 25 and something.
Yeah,
So I put koozies out and I was like, oh, that was towards the end of the night. I've got people coming all over. It's like, can I get a koozie, please? Can I get a koozie? I'll go, no, they were all on the tables. If they're gone, they're gone.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was like, well, they were popular. But I think
yeah,
anything free is going to be popular, you know.
exactly.
And then I brought some merchandise and I said to Sherry, I said, we've only got these shirts in extra small, small, and medium. Just blow them out for $5 each.
Yeah.
Well, in her head, she heard everything in the box for $5, which
Oh
included a
no.
jacket and pendants and flags. And I go over there and there's nothing in the box. I go, and I'd allocated this jacket specially to give to one of the kids.
Yeah,
And I go, all right, where's that jacket? She goes, sold it. I go, how much? She goes, $5. You told me everything in the box was $5. I'm like, no. I said the shirts were five. So that was all our merchandise was gone like for $5 each in like 30 seconds. I
wow.
mean, it was like to the point that people were coming up to me and saying, can I get a $5 flag, please? And stuff. So it was just like insanity, everything. And as you say, we're the last people in. The
Yeah,
hotel, when we said we need to hang banners, and they looked like, no, you can't pin things on our walls. We just spent
yeah,
God knows doing what.
yeah,
And so we
yeah,
end up with all that pipe and drape.
yeah,
And then I'm like, why is this one hanging down that way? Oh, well, we ran out of pipe. We'll have more for tomorrow. We'll fix it.
yeah,
And I'm just like, okay. And I just go backwards and forwards to my little room with my little cart,
yeah,
moving everything. And yeah, thank God I didn't drink the whole time. Oh, Thursday night, I did go and get myself a double scotch once the music had started and everyone's gone. Well, I'm just
yeah,
going to relax here with this. But they didn't have any malt. They just said JB, which I
right,
really don't like. And what didn't
yeah,
help was as soon as I sat down and started having my wee double, everyone else is like, oh, Colin's having a double. And they'll just keep bringing them over without even asking, here, that's for you, that's for you, that's for you. So now, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone. Now I'm drinking 10 or 11 scotches of a scotch that I absolutely detest. But I really didn't care at that point. It was like
Yeah,
we've survived a night, got a
yeah,
second night to
exactly.
go, and oh, remember in the 11 o'clock meeting, and we're discussing everything,
Yeah,
and Shannon's standing there, and I said, right, so here's the plan. The Piper will be. She's like, well,
yeah.
stop. What?
Piper? What?
Piper?
What do you mean,
What? You mean
Piper?
a
Yeah,
bagpiper? I'm like, yeah, what other kind of piper? And she's like, well, what are you going to do with him? I go, we're going to come here and we're going to march down the corridor and he's going to be playing. We're going to go in the room. We're going to go around. It's going to be great and stuff like that. She goes, we have a wedding, like
yeah,
between your room and there.
yeah.
And when she said that, I thought, oh, well, that'll be in the off rooms. I didn't
No,
realize she meant it would be the whole corridor.
literally, yeah, literally in the hallway. It was that was a unique situation to navigate.
And the worst thing about that is they have samosas and pakoras and everything,
Yeah,
and they have the girls, and the girls are like, "Wow, you guys look great," and we're like, "Yeah, you all look great as well." And then we're thinking, "Are these guys going to kill us?" Because it's like separate areas. We're even supposed to talk to these women.
yeah,
If I steal a
yeah,
samosa, are they going to be mad at me? It just went on like
yeah,
that, and it's like, okay, well, we'll work around that. That's tomorrow, like, but we just didn't
yeah,
realize what they meant when they said you would be marching straight through a wedding. I mean,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
wasn't a
exactly.
small wedding. I mean,
No,
there was
no, it
hundreds
wasn't.
of people at this wedding.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
receiving
exactly.
line went up the whole corridor, where
Oh
they sit
wow.
and they give all the. So we get to Saturday, and I was thinking, oh, I can get a rest, and then it's like, no, no, I can't get a rest because we have the football in the morning. The football that I was having nothing to do with.
Yeah, I
But I
remember
still
that.
had to make the shirts. And
Yeah,
then trying to get a price for shirts within 2 weeks of them being needed,
yeah,
you're not getting
yeah,
fancy football jerseys, but we had good shirts. But then the logos are all in color.
yeah,
So I have to sit there and turn them all into black and white.
yeah,
And I have to go back and forth with the guy. And it's like you said, everyone is so friggin' laid back on everything you're asking people to do.
yeah,
I need answers right there and then. I can't go backwards and forwards for 2 days getting the
yeah,
quotes. Um, like when you said you think so you think Billy is completing 25 years on the executive.
yeah,
You want to get him a gift,
yeah,
and I'm like, what? Well, do you know? I don't know. I don't know how to fight. I said, well, just ask everyone because make it look
yeah,
like we need something else, and you don't.
yeah, yeah.
So I've already ordered all these gifts for the people, including you, which
Thank you
I won't tell
again.
you.
Yeah,
I still have one for Stuart McCall,
yeah. He didn't make it along,
which
unfortunately.
one day I'll get him. But
Yeah,
we get these shirts. I get the water. We donate a ton of beer. I even get bottle openers for the beer.
yeah,
And then we have that whole thing like, well, how do we get this stuff to the
yeah,
ground?
yeah,
But while that's going on, I'm getting a phone call. We don't have any bowls.
yeah,
I'm like, what do you mean you don't have any bowls? Gary, there's no ball. Like, you know that I'm not organizing the football. So
yeah,
how is this? You've got a referee. She's
yeah,
got no balls, literally.
yeah,
Um, so my son was playing. He goes to me, he goes, I have a flat ball in my trunk.
yeah,
You have your tire inflator in your car. We can try and meet and get
yeah,
that pumped up. And I'll go, great. That's what we'll do. And then another ball appeared from somewhere else.
yeah.
In the
Something's
meantime,
wrong.
everyone's making their way down there, but all the stuff is still in the hotel lobby.
Yeah,
There's a big cart
yeah.
full with everything, and we all walk down there. We get down there, and Gary goes, "Where's the shirts?" I go, "On that big cart up there." So then you have to run back
I ran
to
back to
get the
grab them.
shirts. At
Yeah,
which point, the sheer chaos of the nice list we had of who'd ordered what, because
yeah,
up until the last minute, there was really short of players to the
yeah. I
point that
think
we
we
then
I,
get to.
the last couple of days there was a few additions, so we were just like, you'll get a shirt. We don't know what it's going to be. We were trying to figure out the teams, and it worked out perfectly because we just said, take a shirt that fits you. Once everybody's kitted out, we'll then look and see
Except for
if the
you,
team.
Tam. You squeeze into the smallest shirt that we can find for you
He
because that
was
was the point.
that was like a bib. Yeah, yeah.
But
And
when I got the
but
shirts made and I send you the pictures, you're like, three colors. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, you told me to get goalkeeper shirts,
I
so we had the
forgot about the
orange
goalies. Yeah,
goalkeeper
yeah,
shirts as
exactly.
well. Funny after thing on this, I've got to get some shirts made for my clan. So I
Yeah,
was saying to Sherry, I go, what size do you think you are? And she goes, well, a medium or a large? I think probably a medium. And I went, oh, don't worry about it. And in my head, I'm thinking, Beth gave me a bag at the end of the game that had a
yeah,
couple of shirts in there,
yeah,
and I'm sure one of them was a medium.
yeah.
So I'll go and see it. I pick up this bag and I almost passed out
Oh
because
no.
remember I've been sick for 2 weeks. I haven't really been. I've been busy with other things. And I went, oh,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Somebody had worn one and then put it back in this bag.
Oh
So it's been in this
no.
bag for 2 weeks. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll just leave it on her bed to try. She tries to, I can just hear all this screaming and swearing and God knows these guys like,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with this shirt. I'm going, oh yeah, I think somebody wore it. He was like gagging and everything. It's like so she had to have a shower after trying the shirt. But so we got the shirts there. We got the ice near the end of the game. All the water just disappeared because people seem to think that you just open a bottle of water, take a swig out of it, and then throw it down somewhere, and
Oh,
then you
is that what
can't
they were
find
doing?
it. And
Oh
then it was
wow.
very hot. And remember, we
Yeah.
had the dual pukers to the
Yeah,
side,
we did.
throwing
We
up
did indeed.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and you've talked about how the penalty shootout came about, and but
Yeah.
it was a really fun thing.
It
The
was.
challenges of getting things there were a little bit challenging.
Yeah, because
But
we ended up getting the golf guy. I think ended up bringing over the ice, didn't he? Because
yeah,
we
because I
needed
didn't
the
know
ice.
anything about what went on with the golf until
Yeah,
that was the one thing I was not involved in, and
yeah.
you were running around everywhere trying to do golf because every time I was trying to have a meeting with you to sort out stuff, you were I'm at the golf or I'm
I
heading to
was
the
doing
golf or
something. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So that was the Saturday morning. Then we have the AGM,
yeah.
which somebody may or may not have put the wrong time on.
That was a mistake. Yeah, I owned that mistake. For some reason, I'd said two different times, 11:30 and 12. So we had to wait till 12, which was a bit of a pest. Then the AGM
Yeah,
was
so I
the
had to go there to
AGM.
run the AV for that.
Yeah,
But as soon as that finished, we had to move everything off that stage
yeah,
to get everything set up down the other end.
yeah.
And the AGM ran till like 2:30 or something ridiculous.
That was long. Yeah, it was the
So we
longest
didn't
one.
have our Q&A because
No,
they'd
no.
left and gone.
Yeah,
So after everyone's out of there, I have to move all my equipment, start getting it up the other end, and finalizing that's positioning. At the meantime, the band have arrived,
mm,
and I have to liaise with them to make sure they know what they're doing and stuff like that. And at some point, the DJ arrived as well because the doors were supposed to be open at 6.
yeah,
So I'm getting everything done. The AV guy, I need more cable, more cable, more cable because now I'm in the middle of nowhere, not
yeah,
near a wall, not near anything. And at 5:30, I look around the room, bearing in mind that we have VIP cocktails at 6 or something.
yeah,
I'm still dressed like an absolute tramp. My equipment is working, but all the tables are not set. The
yeah,
medals are still stuck in a box where
yeah,
we put them there like at 2 o'clock.
yeah,
And at that point, the band have finished their sound check. And at that point, I'm just looking around and I'm just like, I just feel completely helpless because this is the part of the convention that I didn't have anything to do with.
yeah,
There's nobody
yeah,
here directing anything going on.
yeah,
And I'm like, Gary, psh, send you a picture. You go, what's that? I go, that's the room that's opening in 30 minutes.
yeah,
And I have to be up in my room, getting in my kilt, getting everything done,
yeah,
organized. We've got other things going on. And you're like, oh, so you message Shannon and you just copy and paste exactly what she said.
yeah,
Rolled my eyes and I just went, fuck, I can't do any more. I'm gonna
No,
to
exactly.
get ready. You know, it's like,
She thought she, for whatever reason, just a miscommunication with the timing, and she didn't know that they had to have the room completely set up and ready. They did make a big effort, and then no one came down for cocktails for quite some time anyway, you know. So damned if you do, damned if you don't, sort of thing. But though, I mean, for anybody listening, you know, if you were at the event, it would really add colour to the background stuff that was happening. And if you weren't at the event, like it just gives you a real feel and flavour for, you know, it's like the duck going along the pond, you know, it just looks like this wee graceful thing just floating away there. And there's the frantic leg kicking and stuff that goes on and the underside there, the underneath the water line that of the stuff that has to happen to make these events, you know, to make it look and feel like the way we want it to look and feel, which is a quality, well put together event.
well, I mean, and everything is, and it all happens. I mean, and it happens last minutes as well. It's like we need Sharpies for signatures.
Yeah.
Oh, I need place
Place,
things for
hold, yeah.
the top table. Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay. Well, it's another thing to design, and because you would send me
Yeah.
your designs, and I just go, fuck, no, no, it's
It's
not
just
good.
it's the artistic process. I send you my idea, you tell me that it's shit, and then you redesign it, and I'm like, look at us collaborating, artist to artist.
That's
That's the
really
way
what
I've
it
seen
was.
it anyway.
But we got through the whole night. The band was great. Everyone, I think,
Yeah.
was exhausted. I think the one thing I said to you is whoever does the next convention, or whoever's the next convention director, or whoever's whatever position is going to be doing it, you've got to really look at the energy levels of the people when you're
Yeah.
putting together how to do it. Because just because something's always been done in a
Exactly.
particular order
Yeah.
doesn't mean it can't evolve.
Yeah.
So for my thing, having Kier on the Thursday was great. I would have loved to have had the band on the Friday night because
Mhm.
everyone's still in their casual gear. They want to rock out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not a fashion show. You're not worried about where you're putting your dinner jacket down and
No.
stuff. And then for the banquet, having entertainment, whether it's comedians or a show or,
Yeah.
like Callum Beatty or whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
far more relaxed and it makes more sense
Yeah.
than trying to do a full, because you don't know how long speeches are going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, literally after Fraser's great speech and then everything else that went on, the band literally had to do 3 sets in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the
Exactly.
DJ didn't have to do anything. I mean, literally,
Yeah. Yeah.
he had the night off of his life at that point. So, it's like you've got to look at those things and people's energy. And by the time you get to the Saturday night, everyone's done.
Yeah.
They're exhausted because, particularly in Florida with the heat, because
Yeah.
you've been
Exactly.
outside the pool all day, and you could really tell it. And I was really impressed by the amount of people that were at their tables, like really rocking out. They just didn't
Yeah.
want to get up and use their legs.
Couldn't- Exactly. Exactly. So yeah,
So,
the Saturday night was a success, and then we have the leaving do on the Sunday.
so
I know you were worried about that one. I know that that was frantically put together. The short time that I was there, as you mentioned earlier, because of the traffic, I thought it was tremendous, and it was so great to see the place packed out.
yeah, I mean, our bar is small. And so my whole concern originally when I first was talking about the convention
Yeah,
was, oh my God, we're going to have to take over the whole car park and parking lot and have
yeah,
stages outside. And we're going to have a cookout. We're going to be feeding
yeah,
people gator and stuff they wouldn't. I mean, we had a whole plan. And if it
yeah,
was 2026 in Orlando, that would still have been the plan. We
yeah,
would have this whole thing
yeah,
because, as people know, we share the bar with Man City. We share the bar with Spurs.
yeah,
um, Whenever there's been a big event, like Man City came, well, I'll come back to that after. But anyway, so I thought, you know what? Because we're small, let me take over the Gator Golf as well. Because there'll be kids there, there'll be guys there, and stuff like that.
yeah,
Go and see, here's some free tickets.
yeah,
We ended up using all those and then having to buy another bunch of them
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
So that's a success. We were bringing a gator so people could take photographs with it. but we
Yeah.
ended up with two, the white one and the green one, because we
Yeah.
weren't sure that people would take pictures with something green. Um, it was funny though getting Mark. So took Bomber over to his picture taken with the gator. You know, he's holding it,
Yeah.
and then take Mark over to his picture with the gator. I go, Mark, do you want to hold it? He goes, no, no, I'm good right here. Just like you know.
This is a
Um,
safe enough distance for me.
and we had the question and answer, and David Edgar's great, and he was really
Yeah.
happy that we'd put up his signs and decorate that whole corner like a little heart and hand shrine with
Yeah.
scarves that we got off him like 10 years ago or whatever it was,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And people were there. Oh, I didn't switch off my app, my little request app. I didn't
Oh, I
switch
see.
it off.
So you're
So
still
all of a
getting
sudden,
requests?
after Heart and Hand Live is finished, this thing starts blowing up with all the requests. And of
Oh,
course, there's no
wow.
limit on what I can play then.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
end up DJing. So still not enjoying the luxury of everything like that, but I end up
Yeah.
DJing for like 2.5 hours
Yeah.
before I just say to everyone, thank you very much. This has been great. I am now dead and I'm packing up, but you're all welcome to stay.
Yeah.
Boy, did they stay. They
Did you
stayed
really?
into the night. And,
Yeah.
I eventually managed to. So my wife suddenly meets four of our attendees that we've spoken to over the weekend. But of course, she didn't realize that they were huge nerds like her with their
Right.
alien tattoos and sci fi love. So now I
Yeah.
can't get her out of the bar because they're all sitting there discussing sci fi dystopian stuff. My wee dog's asleep. He's like, had
Yeah.
enough. He's like, let's get out of here. So eventually,
When are we going home, Dad? Yeah.
yeah. So we eventually do get out of there. Um, she left her phone in the pub.
Oh, he told me that. Yeah.
So she can't find her phone. And so I phoned Greg, whatever he is, and said, do you have Sherry's phone? And he's like, no. So eventually the bar phones me. He goes, hey, we've got Sherry's phone. I
Yeah.
said, I'm not going out to get it. So I ordered DoorDash from the pub and they put her phone in the styrofoam so
Yeah.
that it got delivered out. So
So you got the phone and some food. It's
she
a
was very
genius idea.
confused. She was very confused how her phone was in a styrofoam box when she got up the next morning. And then that was
I
it. It was
love it.
done. I had to go back in on Monday night. Me and
Yeah.
Stuart, my vice president, we went
Yeah.
in and we stripped out all the non-permanent stuff
Yeah.
because Man City were coming in and they wanted to decorate. And let me just tell you, Man City are a fucking tiny club compared to us because they didn't have half or even a quarter of
Really?
what we had to put up. And
Right.
they sent Lescott and someone else in, and yeah, they had a lot of people and stuff. But as far as decorating, no.
Yeah.
And of course, they didn't even notice my two wee Spurs scarves outside that I'd left hidden that were on full display.
I love it. What was your favourite part of the whole event now that you've had a few weeks to convalesce?
Uh, just seeing, actually getting some time on the Sunday to see the one thing that I had total control over every aspect of,
Yeah.
and then sitting down with a few of the guys from Northern Ireland and from wherever else. And remember, I'd said to you a couple of times, I don't recognize these people as being Orlando RSC when you were just showing me on the paper. But
Yeah.
then I see them, they're like been coming over for like 20 years, and
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
I never know anyone's names because you're in
Yeah.
watching a game and
Yeah.
apparently I'm intimidating, so people don't really like to come and talk to me. So whatever that
You
is.
have that leave me alone vibe. My favourite moment was I think the atmosphere when Callum came on the Friday night was there was just a complete energy shift. It was the energy was great the whole weekend, but just prior to him coming up, it felt like a concert. Where you were just waiting on the headliner coming up and the atmosphere, the first few songs, he went up, then just the command that he had on the stage and stuff. They got Keir up to do some work, and And I thought it was very, very exciting. You know, something very different than what we've done before. And it was that was a fabulous experience. But the whole event I thought was great. You know, never heard any genuine, real, deep rooted negativity about anything. There's the odd wee mump and groan and such like that. But it was great to see people getting a chance to connect with people at a smaller level and just really have a great time, immerse themselves in the event. And I think that's truly what they did. And it was great. And I'd said that Colin and I were sharing messages this morning, just getting organised for this, and it says, I know you kept telling me I did an incredible job, which I did. I've said it multiple times. I've said it publicly as well. And then he starts to go back through essentially the itinerary that he just described there and what he did. And I think you maybe just gave yourself a wee bit of credit as well. That's what it felt
Look,
like,
it happened. I said when we knew it wasn't going to be a blowout and we knew it wasn't going to be this or that or what anybody envisaged, but as soon as I knew it was going to head, I said it to you and I said it to Brian. And I have to thank you and Brian because if you guys hadn't come through clutch so many
Yeah,
times, and even both of you coming to the leaving do when it was completely inconvenient and all stuff that, but the fact that you guys were there, literally, I knew that at any point I could turn around to one of you and I would have support,
yeah,
and that's really rare. But I said, we are going to give, if it's 100 people, they're going to have the exact same experience. If it was 1,000 people, if it was a million
exactly.
people, I want them to leave here and go, I had the best experience I've ever had at an NARSA convention
Yeah,
because it's not it's not the size that matters. Heard that my whole life, but
yeah,
it
same.
is true. It's like every single person that has put their hand in their pocket
Yeah,
and is supporting something you're doing.
yeah,
It's really important that you give back to them and just give them everything you can. And that's, we were a small club. We took a chance on a few things with it, and it got to the point where we didn't care if we got the return back or not.
yeah,
We just wanted the smiling faces and the happiness, and we're building for the future. We want people that came to go. We were in Murphy's. That place was great. The staff
yeah,
in Murphy's go above and beyond every single time. They've
yeah,
worked with me to create a menu that they were in nowhere near ready to do at one point. But now you've got your full breakfasts, you've got
yeah,
square sausage, you've got
yeah,
iron brew, you've got tenants. They
yeah,
really listen to everything I've been saying over the years, and it pays off. And I just
yeah,
want people to go, yep, that was a great experience. Murphy's is the place to be, and you saw the jealousy as well from the lepers across the street where they
yeah.
started sending people over to take pictures and saying they were threatened and this is that.
Yeah.
Nobody in Orlando wants to see all this British shit and stuff like that. And I'm like, really? Well, let's
That's
just
a
give
feeling.
this back, because I'm tired of them. Because the only
Yeah,
people that have a problem with us in Murphy's are the people that feel they're always the victim
yeah,
because they make themselves the victim. So
exactly.
it's nothing to do with us. We welcome everyone. We will not
Yeah,
let Celtic fans in on Rangers v Celtic. But
yeah,
then why would we?
I know.
It's pointless. But
Yeah,
we welcome everyone until they're not.
yeah,
That's it.
exactly. Exactly. And that was definitely the feeling in the atmosphere that you and your team created for that whole weekend. It was an absolute blast, an absolute ball. It was a great time, it really was. Any final parting words for any prospective convention organizer in the future?
I'm always there to help you and give you advice. Don't be discouraged by what went on with this one. This one really was unique circumstances, right from the fact that we were having to work with Rangers and their sponsor,
Yeah,
the fact that this wasn't the ideal, normally, and I can say this from back at 2009, 10, and 11, when we used to have to actually do a presentation to get the convention. I remember
mm,
creating a video and
yeah,
playing it at Niagara Falls, and there was two other people in the running.
yeah,
We've got to get back to this thing where it's an honor to host this,
Yeah.
and just the friendship and everything that comes pouring out from everyone you meet.
Yeah.
And say, don't look at Vegas as the benchmark. That's not the benchmark. You know,
Yeah.
the new benchmark is going to be 200, 300 people,
Yeah.
but it's a
Yeah.
far better event. You're not going to get
Yeah.
rich in these conventions, but your heart will get rich.
Yeah. Oh, what a way to finish it. Colin, you're a legend, my friend. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, thoroughly enjoyed working with you during the convention. Loved the camaraderie, loved the banter, loved the work ethic, loved the desire to get things done at a quality level above and beyond. It was a great time. Thank you very, very much for coming on the show today.
You're very welcome. I'd like to thank the one person that stayed through and listened to the whole thing. I should actually say something like, well, if you stayed this there, you can win $5,000.
Exactly. Yeah. Just use that QR code from the convention and you'll get it.
Thank you,
Thanks
Gary.
again.
You guys were great. I really loved it.